I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Excuse me. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. I'm also over on the TikTok. I think it's Jess Rose 5472, and my Patreon is patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Now I've got all that out of the way. I am live, but once I start the story, I don't start. There's no chopping and changing. What I'll do is I'll just wait for a couple of people to come in, say my highs, and then I'll start. So if you want to fast forward, that's fine too. Awful story for you this evening, so please don't cut off. If you want to fast forward, that's fine. Hey, how you doing, sis? Let's try it again. Let's try it again this evening, see how we get on. I'm hoping it's okay this evening. My God, it's so disappointing the other night. Hey, Hayley, how you doing? Say hello to me first. You got to say hello to me first, not the Tiffany. You have to say hello to me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hello. How are we? Let's do this. Yes, it went wrong the other night, Hayley. Halfway through the story, and all of a sudden they couldn't see me. They couldn't hear me. I could. I'd have carried on. But luckily, I happened to cut the comments out the corner of my eye and saw that they were saying it. If the comments had gone off like it does normally, I wouldn't have known. I'm all good, thank you, lovely. Hey, Phil, how are we? It's Thursday. I was just saying, let's hope we can do tonight's one. Let's give it a go again. We can only hope. I really want to do this story for you guys. Hi, Jilly. Did you see what happened the other night? I couldn't do it. It stopped me halfway through. So I don't know if you saw that the other night. Absolute nightmare. I was really gutty when I come off the live. I mean, it was it was lovely having a chat with you all after. But I was really disappointed. It did for you, Jilly, but not for me. Hey, Warwick, how you doing? Yeah, it didn't on my side. It carried on recording on my side. So, is Hayley, Jess was nearly kidnapped into the basement. I was not kidnapped into a basement, but yeah, it was a bit odd. There was a bit of an odd moment during it. I'm gonna say that. That was a bit odd. But once I realised that no one else could see, it kind of lost its interest then. It wasn't funny anymore. But yeah, it just I don't know what happened, but it didn't die on my side, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on your comments tonight. Yeah, Warwick couldn't see some of the chat. Phil and Sharon, I think Jessica, they couldn't see the chat, and then obviously the story itself, I'd gone. So God knows what was happening the other night. So I'm really hoping it all goes smoothly tonight. He was a bit odd. He was. Like I say, it was really funny when I thought everyone else was seeing it. But when I realised it was just me and Tiff, I was like, it's getting a bit awkward now. Phil and Warwick, my mum said thank you very much for asking after her the other night. I did mention it to her, and she said thank you very much. That's very nice. They're doing okay. So she said to let you know that. So thank you very much. I did mention it to her. Said they were asking after your mum, where was you? So she said she might come in tonight. She's not too sure. She might not. It depends if she remembers. But the snooker has finished, and I don't think there's any other sport on at the moment. So we might have her attention for a short amount of time. But it doesn't last long. As soon as another sporting thing starts, that's it. You won't hear from her while that's going on. But she did enjoy the snooker. Although I did. I like the Crucible. I'm really sad like that. I do like the Crucible myself. So I was involved. Bit kind of bored once Ronnie O'Sullivan was out, because he's very entertaining. Although me and my mum were talking about him, and it seemed like there was something not quite right there. Oh, well, maybe that if she doesn't come in, that'll be why then. She'll be watching that. She doesn't want to be approached by inappropriate watchers, so probably not. Yeah, that's very true. Oh, he was. It was do you know what I think it was with him? I think it was because I'd come off and gone back in. Maybe it just flagged up on his screen. He thought, oh, this will be fun. Let's play these up. That's all I can think of. It was very odd, but yeah, I think it was just some bored kid who on earth wants to watch snooker. Oh, Phil, sorry. But it's very I like it. I like it. I say that. Not all of the competitions, but I do like the Crucible. I'm just seeing my charging things flashing for some reason. I'm going to have to take that off afterwards. If anyone remembers at the very end of this live, remind me to check my charger tower because it's flashing at me at the minute. What was that? What did I miss then? I know. But I do like the sneaker. Right, I'm going to start this story very shortly because I don't know how long I've got. I don't know how long I'm going to have. I mean, it had happened before, didn't it? And then it was fine for quite a while. So I'm hoping it's just a glitch, just a YouTube glitch. But then there was that other guy who came in and says there was another channel where a whole channel was taken down. Do you remember? So I don't know what YouTube are doing, but Elbows still sore, guys. Elbows still sore. Look at it. I feel like that's got bigger since the other night. Look at that. I know. Look it. Can you see? You see it? Sorry, Tiffany. I remember the elbow before I started. I had to share it with you all. Elbows and knees. It's just crazy. It really is. But it's very sore, guys. I'm such a loser. Right. Okay. I'm going to try this one now. We're going to give it a go. Head and shoulders. How's the knees and elbows? The knees not too bad. Well, say it's not too bad, but it's because the elbow's hurting more. I'm pointing to that, but it's actually all here. It's all there. It really hurts. But the knees, yeah, they're not great either. I'm waiting for the x-ray to come back. I don't know what it is. So Tyler will kiss it best. I know it was very odd, wasn't it, Warwick? It was all very short. You couldn't see the rest of the stuff that was being written. It's being asked out on dates and all sorts. It was all very odd. I think he was very young and I think he was very bored. I think that's all I can think of. And I have to be very polite on here. So then it goes against my own personality on here. Because I know what I would normally say. And I can't. I have to be very nice. So, yeah, it left me stuttering a little bit for what my normal response would be. Anyway, let's go because I really want to do this story for you tonight because it's horrific, guys, and I really want to share it with you. So I'm going to start my my intro now and I'm going to get started, but I am going to keep the comments at the corner of my eye. So obviously if I disappear, if sound goes, any of the above, please let me know as soon as possible. I'll contact YouTube and tell them to shut you down. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you tell them to shut me down? Why? If I don't do what? Why? What? In case, are you just joking? Are you just having a little joke? You didn't even put laughing emojis. Why are you telling me to do that? Why are you trying to shut me down? Head, shoulders, knees, toes. How are they all, Jess? That's all I was saying, Phil. Oh, because I'm still talking. Oh, sorry. Yes, I am. I said I was going to start now. But yes, the head and the shoulders is okay, Phil. But the elbows and the knees, not so much. But Anyway, I'm going to start now. Okay. So, okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's True Crime with Jess Rose. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evenings. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. I'm over on the TikTok. It will be Jess Rose 5472. Or if you'd like to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. And now I've got all that out of the way. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd love that. Otherwise, just watch. I'd appreciate that just as much. Story I'm going to bring to you tonight. The story I'm about to bring to you tonight. I did try doing it on Tuesday, but YouTube had other plans. So I'm going to try and bring it to you tonight. It is a child. It's absolutely horrific. It's a very, very, it's a really sad story. All the stories that I do, obviously there's a lot of children. I'm not looking for them. It's not a deliberate thing. My channel isn't going down the route of only being children. That's not where I'm going. It just seems that there just seems to be so many lately. And what it is with this one, the genuinely, when I heard about it, I was like, oh, let me find out about this. And there wasn't a lot on it. And it was a story that's made my stomach completely drop. And I'm quite shocked at how little there is out there on it. So I'm going to bring it to you, and it's the devastating Kendrick Lee story. Okay, so Kendrick Lee. Now, as I've just mentioned, information-wise, it is a little bit choppy and changey. Since Tuesday, when I tried to bring the story to you guys, I've actually gone in and edited a load more of my notes. Well, edited's a bit far-fetched. There's a lot of pen and scribble marks on it, but edited because as choppy and changed it is, I'm going to try and make it as smooth as possible for you, okay? Because I know it, you know, it can get lost as if I throw too many names or too much information or anything else. So, Kendrick Lee, I've got him being born in 2012. I haven't got a date. I haven't got a month, which is awful. They're the basic things that I like to bring at the beginning of a story. But he was born in 2012 in Houston, Texas, in the United States. It is an American story. Kendrick's mom is Gloria Williams. At the time of the story, once I get there, she's 35. Kendrick's dad is Courtney Lee. That's his dad's name, okay? Now, Kendrick had 5 siblings, okay? There's a lot of kids in this story. Now, I'm not going to list them all for you because 2 of them aren't involved as such, if that makes sense. Even though it'll make sense in a second, but basically, I'll do the rundown of the siblings, okay? As best I can, because I haven't got names for some of them. You know, I've got letters for others. But there was 6 kids altogether that Gloria had. Thing is, there's 4 different dads. Okay. Now, we had an older sister who were around about the time of this story was 17. Okay. Then we have 15-year-old Jordan. We've got his name. Okay. Then we have another sister who at the time of this story, I believe to be 13. All right. Then we have a 9-year-old brother who I've got the initial T for. Now, I've got his name, but given the fact he's a minor, I'm just going to give his initial. Now, you might say, well, why have you given us Jordan's name? Because he's 15 at the time of the story, but now he's an adult. So I'm going to say Jordan's name. Now, then we have 8-year-old, at the time of this story, Kendrick. And then the youngest brother, initial J, is 7 years old. Okay. They're the 6 children within this story. All right. Now, the 2 sisters, 17-year-old and 13-year-old, I'm not going to mention much more about them because these 2 girls at the time of this case were living with one of the girls' grandmothers. Now, remember, there's 4 different dads. All right. So it's, I believe, the 13-year-old's grandmother and the 17-year-old was also living with that grandmother, even though she wasn't a paternal grandmother, if that makes sense. So that's the 2 girls with relation to this story. Now, if you remember, I said Courtney Lee is Kendrick's dad. All right. Now, Courtney's actually dad to 3 of these boys. Okay. He's dad to Jordan, he's dad to Kendrick, and he's dad to T, the brother in the middle, who's 9. Okay. So now what it was is Gloria and Courtney actually broke up in 2012. All right. And this was shortly after Kendrick was born. All right. So Kendrick would be Courtney's youngest boy with Gloria. Okay. So you've got Courtney, who's got 3 of the boys, and then there's 3 other dads for the 3 other kids. All right. Now, Kendrick, I will say that all 6 kids look gorgeous. A lot of the pictures I've seen of them, all the kids are blurred, bar Kendrick, okay? But I have seen one picture. I don't know if it slipped through the net. I don't know if it just didn't get spotted. But I have seen a picture of all 6 children. And, oh, they're gorgeous. Like the girls, the 2 girls, the 4 boys. In the picture, I can see of all 6 of them, they look so happy. I don't know if it's with a grandmother. I certainly don't think it's their mum. I think it might be a grandmother they're with. And they look so happy, so cute. Just adorable. And little Kendrick, he's really got such a cheeky little face. Very cute. People said that he was always smiling. He was always quite a happy little boy. So just look gorgeous lads and girls. Okay. So at the moment we're up to Kendrick. Okay. Now in 2014, so remember she's broke up with Courtney in 2012. In 2014, Gloria meets a man called Jonathan Kirkland. Okay. And they knew each other from high school. All right. And they go on to have a relationship. From the impression I get of Gloria, she's not one to be alone. Don't like to be alone, Gloria. It seems like she jumps from one to the next, to the next, to the next. That's what comes across. Okay. So when she meets Jonathan, who for the most part is in and out of prison a lot, but she does get pregnant, and she gets pregnant with the youngest brother, who we've got the initial J for. Okay. And they break up when little J's about 2. Now, they moved in with Jonathan's mum, and her name's Linda Smith. And when Jonathan, the last time went into jail, Gloria and her 4 boys, I don't think the 2 girls were with her then, the 4 boys stay with Linda. Okay. Now don't forget, she's only grandmother to the youngest child. The 3 of the lads aren't hers. She's not grandmother to. Gloria is no longer with her son, but she was kind enough to allow this mum and her boys to stay in her home. And she finds out that Gloria's been, she starts having men in her house while she's at work. Rather than watching her kids, no, she's got man after man coming into the house. Just, I don't have anything good to say about Gloria. I can't bring myself, I haven't found out anything good about her, so it's not like I'm hiding anything, but I just haven't found anything good about this woman. Now, people who know her, family members, etc., maybe they know some lovely things about her. I don't. I haven't found anything nice about her. And what I'm going to tell you as the story goes on, I don't think you'd want to hear anything good about this woman anyway. All right. So what it was is, once Linda realised that Gloria had been bringing men in to the house while she was at work, she kicks them out. So she can't have this. So she kicks them out. Now, when she leaves, Gloria's like, right, okay, well, you ain't seen your grandkid. Don't forget, the youngest little fella, Jay, is Linda's grandchild. You ain't seen him. So she blocks Linda. She also blocks Jonathan. Once he comes out of jail, he can't see his kid, and off she goes. She's done. All right. So now we, apparently this was a pattern of Gloria's, though. That's one thing I'll say about her. Not just with the kids' dads or relationships, but with her own friends, with her own family members. It was said she was just the type that if she had a run-in with you or she disagreed with something, she liked to borrow money, and if you dared say no, she'd block you. If she moved on, she would block you. She just literally would move on and what her past life out of her kids' lives and everything. She'd just move on. Just seems that's the type of person she was. All right. But in 2016, Courtney, the eldest three boys' dads, okay, which is Jordan, T, and Kendrick, he comes back. Remember, he moved to Louisiana. He comes back. I did say that, didn't I? I know I did. I'm sure I said that. Did I? I'm sure I said he moved to Louisiana. I'm sure I did. Well, he comes back. Okay. So sorry if somehow I'm a little rambling that I've gone off. I didn't, but okay. So he moves back to Texas. All right. And he begins seeing his boys again. Okay. Well, Gloria, who's in a homeless shelter with the four boys at this point, she's quite excited about this because she feels she can, rekindle the relationship with Courtney. I think this is the route she was going. Well, that's not going to happen because Courtney's in a relationship and Courtney's about to get married. Okay. And he approaches Gloria and he wants his three boys. I'm presuming he would have let the youngest little fella in as well, but he wanted them to be in his wedding party. He wanted them to come to his wedding. Wow. Gloria wasn't too happy about this because don't forget, she thought she was in. She thought, yes, I've got him back. And just simply out of spite, not only does she not allow them to be part of their dad's new relationship and the wedding and stuff, she completely cuts him off. As I've said, as she does with everyone, completely cuts him off. It was all out of spite. We know what it was, but that's just who she was as a person. Okay. So she blocks him. He can't get in touch with her. He doesn't know where she lives with the boys. And here we go again. So now we're back to Gloria with her four boys. Not for long now. Okay, so late in 2019, early 2020. I can't get a specific date. All right. But Gloria meets a lovely gentleman by the name of Brian Coulter. okay? Now, I've got him being around the 30 mark at this point, 30, 31. All right, so a couple of years younger than Gloria. Okay, now, what I haven't mentioned about two of the boys, which is Kendrick and, sorry, ignore me, three of the boys, Kendrick and his two brothers. They all suffer with autism. Okay, now Kendrick himself was quite a high functioning, I think I've got that right, autistic. He was mostly non-verbal, but he's, like I say, very, very sweet little lad. The other two boys, their autism wasn't as severe, but both had autism as well. Like I say, all I've heard about Kendrick as I've gone through this story is just what a sweet boy. All of them. But we're going to just concentrate on Kendrick. Just seemed like such a sweet boy, always smiling, always wanting to play with his brothers, but just not. He couldn't verbalise it. All right? Now, Brian Coulter, when he comes in to this family with these four boys, he puts it across very early on that he wanted to be their new dad. He wanted to take care of these boys. That's what he put across in the very, very, when I say early, I mean really early, okay? And he began calling Gloria his wife, and these were his kids. Yeah, Brian's white. We're just throwing that out there, okay? So I don't know how he thought people would be, blind enough to think that he's children. Let me just throw that out there. The reason, now you might say, well, that shouldn't matter. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't matter. But let me tell you a little something about Brian. I've seen videos of Brian, and oh my God, this guy, I don't know if he was part of the Crips gang, okay? Used to have, he always had Baloo. And I can't do it because apparently it's a real insult if you even attempt to do it. But, the hand gestures with these gangs, he would do that up against the camera, and this real weird accent that would come out that just didn't suit him at all. Would say the N-word like every second word. It just looked ridiculous. And the reason I say it looked even more ridiculous is because he was the most geeky looking guy you've ever seen. It just didn't work. And as far as I know, now I could be really wrong, I always thought that the Bloods and Crips was like an East Coast, West Coast type deal. This is Texas. Now I could be wrong. Maybe there's Texas Crips. I don't know. I could be really, really, really wrong. I don't know. But I always thought it was an East Coast, West Coast thing. He just looks ridiculous. He genuinely does. It just looks ridiculous. Anyways, that was a little bit about Brian. All right. Now, like I say, he'd come into the kids' lives and he'd put across that he was going to be there for them, be a dad to them. Well, if being a dad to them means beating the living daylights out of all of them regularly, well, then okay. But it was ridiculous at how quickly he thought it was okay to put his hands on these kids. Now, Jordan, remember Jordan's the eldest. I haven't heard that he was too handy with Jordan. Now, Jordan was getting older. He didn't look the small. He wasn't big by any means at all. I don't know if that's why. I don't know if he thought he could get him on side. I don't know if it's because the other three had autism. I don't know. But his real wrath went to the three youngest boys. Okay. And then the real brunt of it went to Kendrick. For some reason, all the boys said, you know, he used to hit us all, but it was Kendrick that would just get the brunt of this man's anger. We don't know why. Okay. Now, like I say, this guy's an absolute moron. He's actually got warrior tattooed around his neck. I've heard that Gloria's had got the same one. They got matching ones. Didn't see hers, so I can't say for definite on that. But you certainly see his. Oh, all you ever hear him saying is, you know what I'm saying? I've actually written here, and I'm going to say, and it's not very often that I say or swear or curse or anything else on here, but I've actually written dickhead on my notes. I've actually written that because I don't know how else to verbalise what this man was like. After the story, if you want to go and have a look at him, you'll see why my disdain is the way it is, why I'm talking about him like this. To know what he did and then to watch these videos, it's just, just disgusting. Well, we come into, now remember, it was early 2020. So what happened in 2020? Ta-da! We all know what happened in 2020. So all 4 kids weren't enrolled in school after May of 2020. All 4. Now, there was brief, you know, the school got in touch with the child services very briefly. There was the odd knock on the door. There was no real effort to find out what was going on with these 4 boys. None. Considering 3 of them were on the spectrum, that should highlight a bit of an extra duty of care from social services. But no, didn't even do that. Okay. So on the 23rd of November 2020, Brian's actually arrested in a pub car park. Okay. And what it is when he opens the door to the car he's in the car park, he'd had a bit of an argument in this bar, place called, he's in the car. Gloria's in there with him, by the way. And as he opens the car, just a whole load of marijuana smoke comes out of the car, but then they find a loaded gun. I'm presuming he hasn't got a carry permit on him. So he does get arrested. Gloria, like I say, was also there. She doesn't get arrested, though. And then, so that was on the 23rd of November 2020. Okay, right? So now I'm going to give you a date here, 2 dates, all right? We go around the 20th of November 2020 right up to the 29th of November 2020. Okay. Now, the reason I'm giving you that is because around that date, we don't know what date. So it could have been before this man was picked up. He was picked up, he was let go. So it could have been beforehand, or it could have been just after. But little Kendrick and his brothers, by this point, were just being locked in a bedroom. Okay? And when I say being locked in a bedroom, I mean there was a huge lock instead of the handle. Okay? There's a huge lock on the door. These boys couldn't get out to eat, to drink, to go to the toilet. So they were having to go to the toilet in the bedroom. Okay, and they'd be locked up in there for hours, sometimes days. Okay, they weren't being fed. The 15-year-old also wasn't being fed great either. But these 3 boys were, you know, he really had it out for them, all 3. But Kendrick, he saved up his special amount of wrath for. Okay, and between those dates that I gave you, he came into the bedroom, Brian did, And Kendrick had drank water that he wasn't supposed to have. You know, why would that be? You know, this really bad thing. But apparently this sent Brian through the roof, that Kendrick had drank this water that he wasn't supposed to. And while both brothers were in the room, and that would be T, who's 9 years old, and Jay, who's 7 years old, so a year above and a year below Kendrick, while they are in the room as well, Brian begins beating Kendrick, okay? He begins punching him. He begins kicking him. He begins stamping on him because he drank some water. And the boys say that he just wouldn't stop. Even when Kendrick was on the floor and his eyes were blackened, he punched him that hard that his eyes had already begun to swell shut. And then he started looking around for things to hit Kendrick with. And he broke. Now, I don't know if you know the Spider-Man figurines, but they're quite big. They're about this big, aren't they? He broke one of them off his face. And then there was a toy plane that was also in the room. He broke that off his head. And yet he still didn't stop. While Kendrick was lying on the floor and no longer moving. He's 8 years old. He carries on in front of his brothers, kicking and punching, and he just didn't stop until Kendrick just stopped moving altogether. And the boys said they knew he was dead. They knew he killed him. And eventually, when Brian decides to stop, he picks up a blanket, a threadbare blue blanket, and just places it over Kendrick. Okay? And he leaves the room and he locks the door and leaves the two brothers in the room with their brother. Now, Gloria, you might be like, well, where's Mum? Well, I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I don't know where Mum was. But Mum doesn't come in until the next day. And she comes in the room and she lifts the blanket up. And apparently she does cry. And she places the blanket back down. And you might think, well, thank God, maybe she'll phone the police, or, she'll get the boys out of there. No, she doesn't. She does go out, and her and Brian do have a row at the fact he's murdered her son. But then they go out for dinner. They go out for a meal. And that's it. That's it. And they come in and they look under the blanket over the next couple of days, but no one does anything. And then the days turn into weeks. Okay? Weeks turn into months. And this whole time, those two little boys were being made to sleep in the same bedroom as their brother. And over these months, they would have a little peek under the blanket. Don't forget, they're only 7 and 9. And over that time, they'd see their brother's hair falling out. They'd see him slowly turning into a skeleton. They'd see cockroaches eating him. There were fly strips put up on the ceilings because of the flies in the room. And yet they were still made to sleep in that bedroom with their dead brother. Oh, okay. So even with all of this going on, you would think, well, what's going on with Brian? What's going on with Brian? What's going on with Gloria? Well, it didn't stop. He would still beat the two boys. Oh, he was still laying into these two lads to the point where he's threatening them as well. Or if you tell anyone, who were they going to tell? You weren't letting them out the house. And by this point, they weren't really feeding them either. Weren't really feeding these boys. 15-year-old weren't really getting fed. He didn't know what to do. He was scared. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to help his brothers. He was hoping his mum would come to her senses, but she didn't. She just carried on. Oh, okay. Now, the 9-year-old, a T, he was, sorry, 10-year-old. He was 9 at the time. But he said he just kept beating us, and then he'd make us sleep in there. Okay. So then we get to March 2021. Now remember what date I said this was mid-November, supposed to have been around Thanksgiving. Okay. We get to March of 2021, 4 months later. The family have been living in that apartment. They've been making those two boys sleep in that same bedroom. And the neighbour says they would smell things. They would smell stuff coming, but they didn't know where it was coming from. One neighbour said she couldn't put her air conditioning on because a smell would come into her apartment. They just didn't know what it was. And in March of 2021, Brian and Gloria can't take it anymore. Can't take the flies and the cockroaches and the smell any longer, and they move out. They move out of the apartment. You might be like, oh, thank God, get the kids out. Maybe. No, just Gloria, just Brian move out. And they move to an apartment that's about 15, 20 minutes away. And they leave the 3 boys there. That's what she does. Mom, that's what she does. And more to the point, they take all the furniture. They take everything with them. And they leave them nothing. Now, it said that the boys might have had a sense of relief in a really sad way, that although this is happening to them and they're being left in an apartment with their dead, decomposed brother who's been murdered, with no furniture, nothing, the relief would have come from at least they weren't being beaten day in, day out, hour in, hour out. So they would have been torn, it was said, of their feelings in this situation. Now, Brian and Gloria, they would come back. They'd come back, say, every 2 weeks to drop off some food. Never food that could be cooked, because I believe they took the cooker, but just things that could be heated with a kettle, like noodles, snacks, that sort of thing. So the kids are they've got no energy. They're being starved while they're still stuck in this apartment. Okay. And when he would come back, well, Brian and Gloria, when they'd come back every fortnight or so with the measly amount of food that they'd drop off to the 3 boys, Brian wouldn't be able to keep his hands to himself. He'd still lay into the 2 lads while he was there. Who knows what the reason was? I don't know what the reason could possibly be, but he'd still have to lay into the two lads while he was there. Now, the 15-year-old Jordan, he would, because of course his food's not going to last a fortnight, okay? He would knock on the neighbours' doors, because you might be wondering, well, what about the neighbours? People have got to be, they've got to have noticed that there's kids in there, but the parents aren't there. There's got to be something. Well, Jordan would knock on the neighbours' doors, one neighbour in particular. And she said that he wouldn't really speak. He wouldn't really tell her anything. But she could see he was starving. But he wouldn't take cooked food from her. He had a real paranoia of being poisoned. Now, I don't know if this is something Brian or Gloria had said to him to try and stop him taking food off people. But he would only take like snacks or pizza, things that didn't have to be cooked. So I'm assuming it was like a box of pizza maybe. They were the only things he would take. Okay. Now, once he was seen sleeping on a slide outside. It must have been blowing his head being in that apartment. And just the one night he fell asleep on the slide outside. He was trying to keep a family for his little brothers, and the pressure that would have put on him with his dead brother still in that apartment with them. Now we get to September 2021. Now don't forget they moved out in March, guys. They moved out in March. So we get to September and the electric gets cut off. And you'd be like, well, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. She's got to do something now. No, she doesn't. No, she does not. The rent was being paid because she was getting housing assistance. Oh, and the money she would have been getting for the kids with autism, the extra money she was getting. Oh, that's what they were living on. But the electric didn't get paid. Okay. And it gets to October 2021. So 11 months after Jordan's watched, and the two lads, after the three of them watched their little brother get murdered. 11 months. And he finally can't take it anymore. He goes to a neighbour. He asks for them to charge his phone. He comes back. He texts Gloria. He says he can't take it anymore. And he finally calls 911. All right? Oh, what a shame. Now, I've heard the call. Okay? It's heartbreaking to listen to, because he sounds, it's the voice of someone who just doesn't, it's a very haunting phone call. And he basically just says, my brother is dead. He's been dead for a while. Okay. And his name is Kendrick. My mum and dad don't live here. I don't know, my mum and her boyfriend have moved out. They don't live here. It's a very, very haunting, sad phone call. Okay. Now, the police quite confused. You can hear the operators quite confused. No one quite knows what they're about to walk into. And the police arrive. And when you see the interview of the police, he does say, this one affected us. This one got us. Okay. And when they walk in, they see Jordan and then the two little lads, T and J. And he says that, the boys had, as what it appeared, they looked happy to see the police. And, they wanted to stand by them. He says all three looked obviously malnourished, very, very thin. He said, but there was just this 1,000-yard stare of all three boys. He says you could just see that they had been through something so traumatic. You know, you don't know if you'd ever be able to get them back. Okay. And like I say, when they walk past the boys, so they come in and they see there's no furniture, soiled carpets, no bedding, no nothing, cockroaches just running around, having a whale of a time around this apartment, flies absolutely everywhere. So straight away, they get the kids out because there's no electric, there's no light. It's all very dim. They're having to use their torches. So they get the three boys out, right? And then this policeman comes back in and he approaches what would be the boys' bedroom door, and he notices this big lock on the door. So it's quite obvious that anyone on the other side would never have been able to get out. And he goes into the bedroom, sees the fly strips hanging from the ceiling, obviously covered in flies. And he lifts up this threadbare blue blanket that had been over Kendrick from the day he'd been beaten to death. And as he lifts it up, he sees the decomposed skeletal remains of little Kendrick. 8 years old. 8 years old, this little boy was. Left there for 11 months. 11 months with his brothers. Oh, okay. So then we, bear with me a second. So I've got myself lost here. Right, okay. So we go to, all three boys, like I say, were malnourished and were taken to the hospital. Now, CPS, you might be like, well, where were they in all this? Now, as I've told you, these boys weren't in school from May 2020. This was 18 months later. Where were they? Where were they? Neighbours, all these neighbours, that, oh, there was a smell. Oh, I was feeding him, but I didn't want to pry too much. You don't want to get involved too much. They all said, you know, we'd have helped if we'd have realised, if we'd have known, you know, would have known that's what was going on. This went on for 6 months. When I say 6 months, I mean from when the boys were left on their own, let alone when Kendrick had died. But then boys were in that apartment for 6 months, with a month of it no electric, for the majority of it no food, and for all of it with their dead brother. They called it the bystander effect. You know, oh, if there's a problem, so-and-so would phone, or if they haven't phoned, I'm not going to phone. This sort of mentality would have been going on at the time, okay? Oh, God. So the boys themselves, where am I? Sorry, I've lost myself completely. The boys themselves are taken straight to foster care after they get to the hospital, except little T, the 9-year-old, okay? Now, remember, I says that even when Brian and Gloria were coming back for the, you know, every 2 weeks with their odd little bits of food, and Brian just couldn't keep his hands to himself even on those times, little T's jaw had been broken that badly and then re sort of formed. It had deformed and infected. And we don't know how long that had gone on for. So this poor little boy, even if he'd wanted to eat, he wouldn't have been able to eat properly at all. So he had to have reconstructive surgery, little T did. Oh, now the boys are taken onto foster care, okay? Now, Gloria and Brian were originally brought in for questioning, but then they were released. Okay. But then they're both arrested the next day on the 26th of October, 2021. All right. Now, they were actually found at the public library. Do you want to know what Gloria and Brian were doing at the public library? They were looking for news reports about themselves to see what was going on, to see what the boys had said about them. That's where they were found. Oh, God. It was found out that Gloria had actually been getting over $2,000 a month just for the boys, just for those boys. And when you see the video recordings on their Instagram, okay, one of the videos was 4 months after little Kendrick had been murdered. So it must have just been just before they'd moved out of the home. And she's cooking there. And he's showing these rings that he's got. These big rings that he has, okay? And one of them is CEO in diamonds. Oh, just utterly despicable little man. But yeah, and there's the love of my life and get yourself a good woman, you know, with the way he would talk and the jewelry on him. And that's what the boys said he used to hit them with. This ring was thick. I mean, I can't even. It was massive. And it was said that's what he used to punch these boys with. Oh, just absolutely despicable human being. Okay, so the autopsy was done on little Kendrick, okay? Now, of course, it's 11 months later. He's skeletal, he's decomposed. Trying to find his cause of death was impossible. But what they could see is that he had fractured ribs and a broken pelvis. Okay. Which is what the medical examiner spotted, but they just couldn't say definitely, can't pronounce that, what killed him. All right. So Brian is charged with first-degree murder, and Gloria was charged with injury to a child, tampering with evidence, and injury by omission. All right. And obviously she was told she couldn't have any contact with her kids. Gloria's excuse, first she said that she didn't know. She didn't know. But the boys obviously said, of course she did. Okay, they said she came in and looked at him. She looked at him more than once under that blanket. And then she said that she didn't want to, right, you ready? She didn't want to phone the police because she didn't want to lose her kids. The same kids that 4 months later she abandoned. She just left. But she didn't phone the police because she didn't want to lose her kids. No. You didn't want to lose your freedom. That's what was wrong. You didn't want to lose your relationship. Because as I said from the very beginning of this story, this seemed like a woman who could not be left alone. She had to be with somebody. And rather than having that love and that unconditional love from her kids, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough for her. No, it had to be from a despicable, pathetic little man who would beat her children. She said she used to tell him not to. Well, there was text messages found between Gloria and Brian. And on one of them, she does say, don't hit the kids. And why do you hit Kendrick more than the others? But then she said, wait until their bruises clear up before you hit them again. I can't. Well, these pair of absolute cretins pled not guilty. I don't know how they thought that could fly, but they pled not guilty. On the 9th of April 2024, Brian opts for a bench trial, which is where he doesn't have a jury. It's just the judge that will make the decision. I don't know if he thought he'd be better off that way. I don't know. Okay. Now, the judge wanted the 3 boys to testify. All right. Now, the foster parents who have gone on to adopt the 2 boys, okay, the 2 youngest boys, J and T, had said that the boys had been through so much. It took 6 months for T to even speak. He used to run under his bed. There was tantrums. It was really hard to reach these boys from what they'd been through. She says she can't put them through that. They can't go through that. So they were allowed to video and do a video witness trial. Do it by video, basically, okay? And one of the boys, when they're called to be a witness, one of them had said, when they were talking about Kendrick, they just says he was only bones under the blanket. Oh, God. The other one says that after one beating, Kendrick couldn't even walk anymore. That was before he was killed. Now, Jordan, the 15-year-old, who's now 17 at the time of the trial, he actually, and I thought, wow, he actually stood in the witness stand and faced this. Who's the Brian, who's now got long hair trying to look like Jesus. If you see him, it's just ridiculous. His hair's down to, he just looks ridiculous. But he fronted him, he faced him, and he was witness for the prosecution. I thought, how brave. How brave. I don't know the long-term effects this is going to have on these boys. I can't imagine it being any good. But Brian was found guilty. His sentence was life with no parole. The judge actually said, "Sir, those children have haunted me this week. I hope so. When you're in prison, those same boys that have haunted my mind haunt yours." Okay. Now, that's him. And we had to wait till November 2024 for Gloria. Okay. Now, Gloria also found guilty. She got 50 years on a plea deal. Oh, a coward. Absolute coward. Now, the 2 younger boys, as I was saying, had been adopted. Now they're living with their adopted family. They have siblings. They say they've got 2 dogs. They're very happy, and the boys say they don't even remember their mum's name now. I mean, it's been 4 years. I would take it that they've just wiped it from their memory, and I really hope that the help they get will help them to deal with those memories if and when they ever surface again. It's just heartbreaking that the 15-year-old who's now 17, I don't know. I don't know how you get through something like that. I just don't. But the little 7-year-old Jay, the initial J, he wants to be a lawyer when he grows up. That's what he's told his adopted mum, who I'm just going to say is his mum, because by the sounds of it, in those 3 short years, this mum has shown them more love than that so-called excuse of a mother ever gave them. I don't know anything else about the boys or the Jordan. I keep saying this 15-year-old, his name's Jordan. I don't know any more about him. I don't know where his future lays. I don't know. All I can hope. This one really got me. This one really, really got me. And I just hope that they all get the care, including the sisters. Don't forget, there's 2 sisters involved in this case as well. You know, they did know their brothers. It's not like they were separate. There is a photo, as I've said, with all 6 of them. You know, so it's got to have been absolutely haunting for the girls as well. Everyone involved. Even the neighbours who I go back and forth on. You know, had a vigil for Kendrick not long after, and flowers and everything else, but I just can't help thinking, no, you didn't think to just even get a welfare check, not even just a welfare check, but it shoulda, woulda, coulda, know. So that was the devastating Kendrick Lee story. Absolutely heartbreaking, really, really awful story. One that I did, like I say, I didn't know a lot of. I didn't know a lot about until I really started looking into it. So I just wanted to put this one out there. So thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. All these stories do go up on my pre-recorded videos as well. But thank you so much for joining me. I genuinely do appreciate it. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, how are we? How are we, guys? Wasn't that awful? Awful, awful, awful story. Oh, hi, Natalie. I can't imagine that. I know, Natalie, just awful. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, sis. Thank you. Yeah, I just that one. I just couldn't believe what I was listening to when I was looking at it. I was like, that can't be real. And then I started, check my charging tab. Thank you. Thank you. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Stay there. Stay there. It's flashing at me. Right, so it's not that one. Is it you? Oh, it must be that one. Thank you. It's got to be that one then. That one's no good. I'll get rid of that one. There we go. There we go. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. How are we? What we're doing? Oh, thank you. Check your charging time. Good neighbours become good friends. It sounds. Are we singing Neighbours? It was, Natalie. It was. I saw pictures of the apartment, only briefly, only slightly, but you just can't imagine it. You just can't imagine it at all. You just wouldn't know that. I just think that he was knocking on though. I just think if you just didn't know, you didn't know, but he was. Oh, I don't know. I wonder if part of him was just hoping that someone had he wouldn't have to phone and someone had phoned for him. I don't know. It's just very, very sad. It really is. But how are we all out there? How are you, Natalie? I haven't saw you in a while. I don't think I've seen you since we've been back. Mind you, I only come back on Tuesday and it all went pear anyway on Tuesday. So I don't know what I'm talking about. What was we on about? Jessica, yeah, I think they would have disowned. I mean, like I say, the 2 brothers, the 2 youngest ones, said they don't even remember her name anyway. So it's like they've blocked her. Do you reckon he'd hurt Mary Magdalene? Why are we talking about Mary Magdalene? What have you been talking about? I've just seen. Where did we go? What subject did we come out? I'm sick of the same old. Oh, I know, Jessica. I know. It is the same old, And again, it's not like social services hadn't been involved with these kids, you know. All right, so what did someone say? They dropped the ball. They dropped the ball, apparently. I mean, you can't say something so flippant like that about something so serious. They dropped the ball. Oh, when I heard that, I was just like, really? Honestly? Oh, thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Yeah, lessons will be learned, aren't they always? Aren't they always? And that's a really current case. That's a really up-to-date case. So they never do. They never learn. COVID's got, oh God, I hate saying that word because it always messes me up, but it's got so much to answer for, hasn't it? See, he called me really stupid. I'm heartbroken. He called you stupid. Phil called you stupid. Well, what did you do? What did you do for him to call you stupid? Because I have to ask that question, sis, because Phil wouldn't just call you stupid for no reason. I can't believe it was for no reason. So I've got to ask the question, have you ever dropped a ball? See, I picked up on that one. I picked up on that innuendo. I picked up on it. So I'm normally slow. And I go, I don't know what this is. This is new. See this? This is new. Yes, I did nothing. Tell her, Phil, or I'll block you. Stop threatening to block people. It's because she's got power. It goes to her head. I know, Jessica, she honestly, bit of power, and it's just, there it is now. She's gone to her head. She wants to block people. You can't just block people because you've, well, what happened? Tell me then, Phil. Why did you have to tell her to shut up? What did she do? I can't believe that she's innocent in all of it by any means. I just can't. I just can't believe that at all. Because, yeah, it's impossible to imagine. There's a lot of fringe going on, isn't there? There's a lot of fringe going on. Scroll up in the chat, I swear I never deserved it, genuinely. Oh, she sounds quite serious. Is she quite serious? Send some more. It only lets me go so far, though, Tiffany. It literally only lets me go. Well, Hayley's going. He's been in us a shit tonight. Who's that? Is that? I'm presuming it's one of the lads, but yeah, this to work on him. It's not letting me go any further. Funny haha or funny peculiar. You're looking at. I can't see, Tiffany. I'm gonna have to wait until tomorrow until I can go into the live comments. It's not letting me go up high enough. Bill, don't mess with me. I can see what's going on here. I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow. I'm completely out of the loop. I'm completely out of it. He's staying very quiet though, isn't he? He's not saying what he's done. So, Phil, you're making me think that maybe you just did do something because you're not saying anything. And funny, haha, funny, peculiar. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, Warwick. I think there's a whole lot of strange and a whole lot of funny. I think that's what it is. Right then, I'm going to thank you so much for coming back, girl, because she was being stupid at the time. Tiffany, what do I say? What do I say to that? Was she being stupid at the time? And what am I going to say? There's nothing I can say. I can't say, oh, thank you, Warwick. I can't say. Did I tell you that my mum says thank you, Warwick? Did I tell you? And Phil. Don't know if I said. Don't know if I mentioned it earlier. But yeah, what's going on here? But yeah, what can I say, Tiffany? There's nothing he can say. Is that how brutal it's got tonight? I don't know what to say. On that note, oh, thank you, Warwick. Thank you. I will. But on that note, I need to see the comments now. I'm going to have to come in and see the comments tomorrow. But on that note, thank you all so much for coming back tonight after the kerfuffle the other night. I have got another one for you on Tuesday. I was supposed to do tonight, so I'll do that on Tuesday. But thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you to Tiff and Hayley, my moderator extraordinaires, and Warwick and Tiffany were so, I'm going to have a look, Jessica. I'm going to have a look tomorrow. It's not letting me look at the minute. It only lets me scroll up so far. Yes, Tiffany and Hayley, moderator extraordinaires, and Warwick and Phil and Jess and Jilly and Natalie. I think that's everyone I've seen. I think so. I hope I've remembered everyone. But thank you all so much for joining me again. It's jingle time. I feel like I haven't done my jingle in such a long time. So if you're watching now, or if you're watching tomorrow, if you could go in and possibly look, comment and subscribe, guys, please. Look, comment and subscribe, guys, please. Thank you. Look, comment and subscribe, guys, please. There's a lot going on here. Do you know, I'm using a new powder, but it seems to be making me look older. I don't know what it... I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like that powder. It wasn't even cheap either. But it's supposed to be coffee for your eyes, but it wasn't. But thank you all so much, guys. Thank you. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Take care. Bye. Like, comment and subscribe, guys, please. Like, comment and subscribe. Love yous. Bye.